Operational planning. First thing we need to know is the magnetic direction and the distance from our strip to our treatment area. On the track out, pick some prominent points if we can to track to. The field that we'll be doing when we go out and look at it will be bounded by this road and these boundary fences. And inside the paddock, once we get there, we'll look for these prominent features to positively identify it. The wind will be coming from the southwest and the sun will be in the northwest. With this here, we are going to aerial inspect it. At times we would do ground inspections, but it's only recommended as a supplement to a complete aerial inspection. And also what we'd need to look at is for the shortest ferry distance back to the strip with safety. Aerial inspection of the treatment area that we're going to use. The best way to get to it is take a magnetic bearing and distance from the airstrip. We're looking for the boundaries here that are shown on the map. They are east-west boundaries coming up and going under us now, and the western boundary is along this road. We do have a certain amount of checks that we need to do to make sure the paddock is suitable. And the first one we do is the direction of the wind. We can pick that by wind lanes on water and all the other procedures that we've been through before. Of course, the next one is to identify the paddock and the complete boundaries. As I said before, we had the road, the fence. We fly around and check that what's on the map is actually on the ground. The next check is the sun. Make sure that we're not flying into the sun. And what could happen if we do fly into the sun, of course, is we get a lot of glare. It makes it very hard flying into the sun, all the glare, and it is very hard to see down low to the ground. Next thing we check are any hazards that are actually in the paddock. And hazards mean power lines, trees, anything that could endanger our run through the paddock. Remember the clues for power lines are mainly any occupied buildings around the place. We'll always have power lines running into them. Because we've identified the wind as a southwesterly here, anything up into the northeast, we would be looking for susceptible crops. The terrain, as we're flying over it, we notice it slopes down to the south, and the slope isn't exceptional, so we should be able to fly both ways. The next thing we need to note is the access we have for markers, and we do have an access, as we saw earlier. We have a road coming in, so the access for markers will be no problem in this case. We need to look at the nuisance value of our operation, especially around houses. We must maintain our legal separation from the houses. Also, we don't want to be a nuisance to livestock around the place. As can be seen below us here, grass and sheep. Any roads, we do become a nuisance to motorists on the roads. From all this, we can then decipher which direction we actually want to operate the paddock. In this case, the longest direction would be north-south, and we've pretty well decided that because of all the other factors, it will be the appropriate way to work the paddock. Once we've determined which way we're going to operate in the paddock, we'd have a look at either end of the paddock out for some distance, or the distance that we'd be actually doing our procedure turn, to actually make sure that we have got plenty of room in case of a forced landing. As can be seen here, the adjoining paddock this end is quite good. The only problem is a couple of trees and a dam, and slightly further on there are a few more trees. We shouldn't be over that far if we do have a forced landing. The other end of the paddock we'll have a quick look at. Also check up this end of the paddock for power lines, or both ends of the paddock for power lines. The last thing we want is to be near the ground in a forced landing situation and run into a power line. This end of the paddock, the ground is much more undulating, so a forced landing is going to be much more difficult. A lot more trees, and the ground is a lot rougher. If we have a forced landing at this end of the field, there'll be a fair chance we would bend the aeroplane. Even though we bend the aeroplane, we should still be able to get out of the forced landing.
Sun glare. Always keep the angle of the sun in mind when planning the day's operation. Avoid making east-west runs, particularly with hazards, in the early morning or the late afternoon. Sun glare may not be present when the flight commences, but this doesn't mean that it won't become a problem later on. Clouds may burn off or blow away, and of course, clean-up runs are always made at 90 degrees to treatment areas.
Low-level turbulence. Low-level turbulence is second only to power lines in the danger to agricultural pilots. Flying on the lee side of objects, tree lines, as we have here, we can see, as illustrated, that the airflow becomes very turbulent. What we need to be is aware that the airflow, or the turbulent airflow, is approximately 4 times the height of the tree out on the lee side, and as long as we're aware of it, we can make compensation for it. On the other hand, if in a light wind condition spraying, we can use this turbulent airflow in an aid to disposition of our spray droplets by flying on the tops of the trees and allowing the wind currents to actually carry the spray drift down into the position that we would normally not be able to get if we flew alongside the trees. You two markers. The first thing I think I'll do is I'll step out 20 yards, and that'll be my 20 yards. I know what 20 yards is, and the spraying that we're going to do can only be as accurate as what we're going to mark it. Now I'll step it out and then I'll get you both to walking. I don't care how many steps it takes, but they're the steps you use across the paddock. So if you just...
Time spent on a good marker briefing is time well spent. An accurate marker briefing produces an accurate job. 20 paces. "26 paces. "21 paces.
How many did you get?
26.
How many did you get?
21.
All right, so you'll be 26 all the time, and you'll be 21 all the time. We've got a northerly wind blowing this way, so what you do can come along the road here. One marker will walk down this fence down to the southern boundary. The other marker will walk down here. Because there's a fair breeze blowing, I'll get you to both walk in your paces, whatever they are. I don't care which end you get. So you'll both end up on the fence line like that. Now, you're probably better off just outside the fence line. I'll come in, I'll fly around the paddock a couple of times, have a look. Now when you see me come, you get those flags and you wave them. And you don't stop waving until I've gone out of the paddock. I'm not sure which way I'll start. I'll most likely with the power line now I'll probably start up this end. So as I come in, I'll get my wings level here. I want you to walk off. Who's going to be up this end? You decided?
I'll go there.
All right. So you'll walk off to your next position. There, okay, and then I'll fly behind you. When I'm about halfway down the paddock here, I'm just going under the power line, you can walk off to your next position. I'll turn around, wings level, you walk off, I'll go along and you walk off. Okay, and we'll just keep working across the paddock like that, all the way across the paddock. If one of you happen to get behind, I'll flash the landing light at you. It means take another step, okay? You're starting to get behind. Now, just a few precautions we're going to take. One, we've got you walking into wind, okay? So any drift from the aeroplane will be drifting down to the south, that way, right? And you'll be walking into the north away from it. Make sure you wear coats. If you've got a hat, wear that. So you've got a mask, so wear that. When you finish the job, go and wash all those clothes and have a shower. I want you to make sure you keep waving those flags all the time. It's very important to wave the flags because if you don't wave them, I can't see them. As we go up the paddock, I'm going to do it in one load. Now, if anything happens that I can't do it in one load, or something happens to the aeroplane that I've got to go back, and I'm halfway down a run, I'll just pull up very steeply and fly off. Everybody just stands where they are. Okay, and what I'll do is I'll come back to the paddock. I'll know the position that I stopped in the paddock. I'll just come down, dive down steeply, and we'll just continue as though nothing happened. All right, there's only a couple of obstacles in the paddock. One's the power line. You won't be anywhere near it, but I don't want you within 100 yards of it anyway if you happen to have to walk out in the paddock for some reason. You're going to be up this end and there's a couple of trees. Now, the thing is, it's no good you lining up, or if your mark stops right behind a tree, I'm not going to be able to see you. Okay, so if it does happen that you end up behind the tree in line, just move either one side or the other so as I can see you. Preferably move in on the end of wind side because that will more than likely to be the side I'm going to go. I want you to both look at the aeroplane all the time. Don't ever turn your back on it. Okay, you see what's going on because once the nose goes over you, I can't see what you're doing. If something does happen to the aeroplane or that you're not happy with, you just lie face down on the ground. When we finish the paddock, what I'll get you is both to walk out into the next paddock, there and there, or in this case it'll be out on the road. I want you to both wait there till I come round, do my clean-up runs down either end of the paddock. I'll fly back over the top of you, wave my wings to say I'm finished and I'm gone. Okay? So don't forget, wait there until I'm finished. Right, we've got 20 tonne to spread today.
It's also important to fully brief the loader driver.
If I want to go up 100 weight, I'll give you one up. Or
Australian pilots and loader drivers use a hand signal system to communicate during loading. It speeds up operations and generally makes things more efficient.
Don't forget to repeat them back so as I know you've understood them. If I want to go up to a tonne, I'll just give you the tonne. When I want fuel, I'll just give you a fuel sign. I'll get you to park right where you are. That way, if I have to overshoot, I can just keep going straight through. You're fairly well off the strip here anyway. And I'll just turn around, line up out here, and just load me up, and you can back away, and then I'll just take off and line up on the strip and take off from there. These are signals we use. 100 weight up is one finger up, 200 weight up, two fingers up, 100 weight down, one down, 200 weight down, two fingers down, 1 tonne, clenched fist, and I want fuel for the next load. Swabble the hand.
In this case, spray markers have been instructed to start on the southern boundary. However, the wind has changed and the pilot is doing 2 or 3 dummy runs to indicate the new spray direction to the markers.
Remember at low level to beware of other agricultural aircraft. They could be in the vicinity.